Well, hey there, this is Jerry, and I was getting started on another episode of What's Broke Today. And today I've got a Kubota. It's a ZD21 zero turn mower. Uh, got a Kubota diesel engine, 60-inch cut deck, and he replaced the deck belt. And when he was running it, the belt was flopping real bad. So as you can see, it is already taken partially apart. Got our gearbox here, and what he noticed, if I can find a place to sit this where it'll balance, um, is the pulley here has got a bunch of play in it. He thinks the bearing in the gearbox went out again, but as I look at it, when I move the pulley, because this shaft goes from the gearbox clear down to the blade, the only thing I got moving is the pulley. That shaft doesn't look like it's a wobbling. So let's take the blade off. Pull all that garbage up off there. I have a funny feeling those were that way. I don't know that it matters because these washers are kind of a cupped washer. They go on either side of the blade. And then we got the shield, which it almost looks like that thing's been spinning and rotating on there because that's all shiny and scarred. And that's the same way I was looking at this one washer. See how the backside of it's all shined up and scuffed? The face of that is a little bit scarred. But yeah, that's the pulley moving, not that shaft. Oh, I think that pulley wobbling is rubbing on the gearbox. Yeah, let's go ahead and pull these bolts out. Now I have to go get a pair of snap ring pliers to take the, there's a ring type snap pin here on the bottom side. And something just don't feel right. So, okay, well, let me go get those snap ring pliers. Well, I also had to bring this over to my chair. I'm just going to pull that snap ring off. Set it to the side. We'll pull this up off there. The keyway that goes in there's got quite a bit of wear. I brought a box to kind of throw stuff in, so I don't lose nothing. That gearbox feels pretty good. Yeah, I think the gearbox is okay. Well, here, one thing I want to do is let's put this pulley down on here the opposite way that it normally goes on. Oh yeah, and that's got a lot of play on that shaft on one end, but not on the other. And when we look at this pulley, you look right here on the bottom, it's got a funny groove cut in it. And that looks like a betting person. Yeah, because look all this, see all kinds of scarring on here. I will bet that our problem is, I don't know if this bearing's one that locked up or it's been replaced, but you can see where things have been rubbing on here. Oh yeah. See where, of course, cats knock things off. See where this has been rubbing on here. So that had to have been making some noise, and that damaged that seal. Yeah, but a betting person says it's that bearing that's bad. Pick up the things the cat knocked off. Ash is just trying to help. And likewise, this blade adapter has very similar wear where it was up against this bearing. For sure we need a pulley. We really need a new one of these. Probably a new keyway. One new bearing, a couple new seals. I think the shaft will be okay. Because if you can look below where the snap ring goes, there's a funny little worn spot right there. I bet you where those washers were flopping around. But in the overall, the shaft, I don't see or feel any worn spots. Yeah, on the bottom end of that, there's not a lot of play where that slides on the shaft. So, I don't think the gearbox needs anything. And I think I'll get some tools and I think I'll go ahead and knock this bearing out of here just so I can look at it better and get both these seals out, because that seal may actually not be all the way down in its hole. Kind of hard to tell. It looks like it may have a lip on the upper edge. So, but yeah, let me knock some of this apart. And I was thinking while I was taking this apart, the bottom seal and the top seal, all I use is a screwdriver. Get underneath, in between the seal and the aluminum, and pry it out. and get them out of there. And then there's a snap ring by the bearing, and I use regular snap ring pliers and pull them out or get that out. And then I'm just going to take a punch and drive that bearing out of there, and then wipe and clean all the grease and dirt out of the inside of that. And that way I'm going to take all my bad parts with me when I go pick up the new ones. All right. I'm back with Kubota parts, and I'm going to start out with my bearing and my two seals that go in the that lower housing. And of course it didn't cost that much more to buy OEM parts, because I actually didn't find a aftermarket for the to do the seals, and the bearing from Kubota was only like 10 bucks. So by the time I ordered something online, I'd have been spending about the same amount of money. So probably the biggest thing is there's not much grease in it. Yeah, it'd be easier to just get my tub of grease and smear some in. That way I know it's got grease upon startup. Even though I'm going to grease it with the grease gun too. Oh shoot. Ash. Cats love to help, but it's one of those times that would be better if she wasn't doing that. As long as she don't put her foot in my tub of grease, I guess we'll be okay. Now I'm pushing it in on the top side and then looking here on the back side to see it come through. All right, so we got quite a bit of grease in there, and go ahead and put the lid on that so don't get no dirt in it. And we'll rotate that just a little, and main thing is we want to get it down in the rollers good on both sides. And I'm actually going to take, and since I know that is up, I'm going to take the side I put the most grease on and put it facing up, and should have done this on a table where I sit on my lap. Okay. That, and of course, always make sure it turns nice and free. And then we take our snap ring. Put it down in there and just look and make sure it got in the groove all the way around. And the top seal is the one that has the lip on it. The bottom seal does not. Of course, I'm gonna take my seals and put a little bit of grease on the lip of it. There, and then grab this and this. And I'm just going to drive that in till it hits that snap ring. And then this one, you just got to drive it in till it's flush. Okay. That part is ready to go. Main thing I was wanting to see here was oh yeah, that's gonna fit super snug, feels like. I'll put just a little bit of grease on the inside to lube that shaft. File the edge of that shaft just a little, because make sure I got the keyway facing the right way, because there it felt like it's starting to slide down on there. Yeah, it's feeling. Just about down far enough to capture that key. Okay. Okay, that's looking good. Yeah, I don't have the other. A little ways to go. What I'm wondering is, okay, there we go. That looks good. Okay. Now our next step, we gotta take all our pieces, go to the mower deck, and you start our reassembly, and yeah, get this dude put back on there, and then we'll just take her for a test run and make sure that the belt doesn't flop. But I think I may go eat lunch and then come back and finish this. Getting ready to reassemble this onto the mower, and move things out of the way that I don't want to fall. I got this jacked up a little bit, sitting on a jack stand, And I'm going to start out by just looking underneath just to verify. Now, what I was looking at underneath the mower is, even though I was 99% sure that the grease fitting went on this end, mainly because of the hole in the deck, which I don't know if you can see, but where the bolts go through, there's the 4 bolt holes, but then the extra hole lines up with the grease fitting. Of course, the iron bracket, or one that looks like it's cast, goes on would be the left side as you're sitting on it. And part of the giveaway is because of the way the belt is routed, it's going to come loop around over here, and that's why this stamped steel bracket is the one that goes on the right side, because when you change the belt, you only got to pull the stamped steel bracket. You don't have to pull the cast one. So you always have to pull that to put the belt on. And then, just see, when you grease this, grease goes in the fitting, through the hole in the deck, through this passageway, and into the bearing. Now, of course, it's got a big O-ring there, and this one is still in pretty good shape, so I didn't bother to get a new one. And what I'm going to try and do is lay underneath, push this up through, reach over the top and put this bracket on, and start my nuts and bolts. Okay, that up through, and I'm going to figure if I can get my hand through there. Like feeling, working in the blind doing this, but okay. I'll get both my lock washers, reach up here and get them both laid on top of the bolts. And then grab my nuts, get them started. That's just awkward trying to reach through there and work where you can't see. All right. And then we can take our gearbox, and of course we got our drive shaft coming up from the rear. So we know this has to sit down on there like that. And I didn't take into account that the angle of the deck when I put the jack stand under the mower deck. Tall jack stand, or you know what? I think I'll go get my 6x6 wood blocks and put under the front tires, and that way I can get out the jack stand out from underneath the mower deck. All right, I got my 6x6s underneath the tires, so that I got the deck drop back down. Now, I really want to turn this around with the shaft facing the rear, like so, and just slide it down in there like so. And then our bolts, we got 2 different lengths. The longer ones go over here where the cast brackets at, and the shorter ones go on the side where the stamped steel brackets at. You gotta lift it up just a little because the you actually want that shaft going up into the gearbox actually kind of floats a little bit. Of course, I got cats crawling around underneath me, so I'll pull this and get it around the gearbox like so, but I'm not going to hook it up yet. What I am going to do is drag my rug back over so my knees aren't on the concrete. Because then once I got the belt back where I want it, then I can put this bracket on. Hi, Ash. It's easier to put these bolts in if it's the belt's not on all the pulleys under tension. Have that and that. Yeah, let's tighten this stuff up. Okay. That's a 15 or a 16 on that bolt. Out. Slide the drive shaft back and then oh, there we go. And then there's like a half moon cut out in the shaft for the bolt to go in. And oh, that is a 17. And then just as you tighten it down, it's like a pinch fit on the shaft. All right, and help has arrived. Yes, Ash? Uh-huh. It's a happy kitty. He's right there. Well, what are you doing? Okay. And there, the cat might have been in the way, but down here I unhooked the spring. I don't know what she's doing under there. I'm gonna go get my piece of starter rope and come around to this side. I gotta watch where the roof leaked. I'm just gonna hook my rope on the spring, pull it across, and hook it. All right, there we go. That looks good. Of course, Ash wants to be under my feet more. And now let's, Hi, Ash. She wants to stand in my lap and get attention. For a feral barn cat, she sure don't act very feral anymore, which is good. A dinging, this little cap that goes on the blade spool's got a dent in the side of it. I think I'm going to knock out before I put it on. The blades need sharpening while I'm here. Oh. I've got to get, next thing I got to do is actually get underneath there. They call this a spline boss. I got to slide it up on the shaft and then put the snap ring on it to hold it up on. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, got that up in the slot. Okay. Now all I got left now is I got my blade holder parts down there. I'm going to take this over to the vise and see if I can knock that dent out, because it looks like that dent was rubbing on the housing, and then clean that out. I'm going to pull off the other two blades, sharpen all three, and then I'll bolt the blades back on. Okay, well, talking about knocking that dent out, I thought, way I come up with doing that is, this is an old drive shaft out of a grasshopper, and I was going to lay this up there and use the drive shaft kind of as a anvil to, and then since it's a dent in, when I hit it on the outside, it pushes it out. All right, but smooth that up so we don't have that protrusion on the inside. Now we're ready to put all the blades back on. Well, I got the Kubota, other than finishing checking the oil after, because I took it out for a test run the blades, and then I was changing the oil in it too. But still got a little bit of flop to the belt, but not nothing that I consider abnormal. Thing run good, cut good. The only thing I did find, when I took the blades off, on the right side, all the components were there, went back together, no problem. The center one, it turned out good. It's mainly because I got the new bearing, pulley, and they call it a spline boss that goes on the bottom. Because you can only tighten that up so far to clamp that blade. On the right side, that little metal cone that goes over the blade was missing. And that blade, when I went to pull it off, wasn't tight. So after I sharpened it, I got a washer that would fit on the bottom side. So when I put everything back on, so they didn't have that cone, I had the blade, the two cupped washers, that lower spline boss, and I put a flat washer in there, and then put the bolt in the bottom, and everything tightened up good. Didn't hear anything that sounded abnormal. Probably the only thing I did notice is the temperature today is kind of cool. Engine cranked kind of slow and was a little hard to start. Now when I come back after running it and changing the oil, it started up okay. So I got a feeling that we're gonna have to put a starter on this just for the cranking slow, but I'll get my meter out and do an amp draw test and a voltage drop test. I just got to find something heavy to sit on the seat to hold the seat switch down while I mess with my meter, because this is one where if you're not in the seat, it won't crank. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I test drive went good. I run over some leaves and cut some grass, and quality of cut looked good. So, but hey, I do appreciate you watching. That I always like those thumbs up for the likes. Appreciate all those comments. And anybody out there's not a subscriber, better join on in because we'll tell them what else you're going to see on What's Broke Today. Thank you.